Hi, I'm Kalilah Reynolds, and welcome to Taking Stock, filmed right here at iCreate Studios on Hope Road. We're bringing you all the latest business and finance news and telling you how it will affect you and your money. So come on, let's get this money. First up, the Port Royal Pier welcomed its first cruise ship last week. The Mariella Discovery 2 brought nearly 2,000 tourists to the famed pirate town, as well as cultural sites in Kingston and St. Andrew. It's a game changer for the economy of the area. And later, the analysts weigh in on the latest stock market developments, GK's key insurance takeover bid, Jamaican Teas' upcoming stock split, and more. But first, here's What's Hot, brought to you by Jamaica Money Market Brokers, your best interest at heart. Finally, a more concrete timeline for the highly anticipated TransJamaican Highway IPO. Prime Minister Andrew Holness says early February. It's expected to be the largest IPO ever on the Jamaica Stock Exchange.
And that will be listed shortly. We are hoping sometime in early February, thereabouts.
Grace Kennedy Group has announced plans to acquire 100% of Key Insurance, a company listed on the junior market of the Jamaica Stock Exchange. GK had already acquired 15% of Key in December. They're now offering shareholders $2.01 per share. The offer opened Monday, January 27. Shareholders have until February 27 to accept. Key Insurance closed trading on Friday at $3.75. U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo visited Jamaica last week for high-level talks with Prime Minister Andrew Holness and select Caribbean leaders. The visit provoked the ire of Barbados Prime Minister Mia Mottley, who accused the United States of trying to divide CARICOM. Mr. Pompeo also drew a rebuttal from the Chinese embassy in Jamaica after he warned Caribbean nations against accepting easy money from the Chinese, which he said could feed corruption and undermine the rule of law. The Bank of Jamaica, BOJ, has introduced a new foreign exchange swap arrangement for authorized dealers. Under the arrangement, the bank will sell U.S. dollars to authorized dealers at the prevailing market rate, with an agreement to buy back the same amount of U.S. dollars in the future at an agreed forward rate. The move is intended to restore orderly conditions in the market. The Jamaican dollar closed on Friday, selling at an average $140.74 to $1 US. It's depreciated 6% since the start of the year. The government plans to spend nearly $8 billion more than originally estimated this fiscal year. The numbers are contained in the second supplementary estimates tabled in Parliament by Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clark last week. This brings estimated government spending for the year to $859 billion. Meanwhile, the new budget for fiscal year 2020-2021 is scheduled to be tabled on Tuesday, February 11, the same day as the Governor General's throne speech. The finance minister is to open the budget debate a month later on March 10. All eyes are on the new budget, which will be the last before the next general election. What's Hot was brought to you by Jamaica Money Market Brokers, your best interest at heart. And when we come back, once called Sin City, Port Royal was home to pirates and prostitutes. Aye, Captain. Well, now it's hosting a different audience as cruise tourism looks to transform the entire economy of Port Royal, as well as Kingston and St. Andrew. We'll take a look after the break. Taking Stock is filmed on location at iCreate Studio on Hope Road.
There's a surplus of unfilled jobs in the creative industry. Kickstart a creative career with iCreate Institute.
Now I'm at iCreate, I just love it.
I saw where I was learning things that I could utilize in my present job.
And I have all the skills to do every basic animation thing now.
Jumpstart a creative career with iCreate Institute at UCC. Visit icreateedu.com.
This segment of Taking Stock is brought to you by Bulwark Insurance Agent. Insurance made easy. Welcome back to Taking Stock. Nearly 2,000 cruise visitors christened the new Port Royal Pier last week. The $45 million development will see Kingston and St. Andrew transformed and entering the arena as a new cruise tourism destination, and so too, of course, impact the lives and the economy of Port Royal. Taking Stock was there. Stevie Ann Simmons has this report.
The Mariella Discover 2 docked at the brand new Port Royal Pier after 7 a.m. on January 21 after previous stops in Panama, Puerto Rico and Colombia. The visitors included mostly Brits and Canadians, but also some Jamaicans. Prime Minister Andrew Holness, Tourism Minister Ed Bartlett, East Kingston and Port Royal Member of Parliament Philip Paulwell and others were on hand for the historic occasion. Tourists were about to experience a day packed with activities showcasing the best of culture-rich Port Royal and Kingston. They would also engage with local Jamaicans for an authentic yardie experience. And for business interests, local and foreign, small and large, the day was filled with opportunities to also cash in on the foreign dollar. Professor Gordon Shirley is president and CEO of the Port Authority of Jamaica, which is spearheading the development.
Price tag overall, the budget that we have for it is $45 million, and we don't intend to spend a cent more than that. We have been very frugal in what we have been doing with it, and that's important too, because aside from the fact that we have other projects that we're doing, we want to ensure that this project it pays for itself in due course. Port Royal has a great history, and so we expect it to do extremely well in the long run. Everybody in the world knows reggae. Nobody that you mention Bob Marley that they don't know. But the tourists that come to the North Coast never get a chance to see or to understand his story fully, or to understand how reggae, the role of reggae in Jamaica as a people and in the Caribbean as a people. They'll be able to get those experiences. We hope that in due course, Kingston will lose the reputation that has worked against it as far as cruise goes, because we will have introduced these ideas, and we think that in time we will have another terminal, maybe in Victoria Square or something like that. We already have 3 cruise lines that have made bookings for next year, and for the following year we have a much larger number of them already booked and are expressing interest in booking. So we know that by year 3 we're going to be at full run.
The Port Authority also engaged several local and other businesses to pull off an authentic Jamaican experience.
I definitely came out here to look at the small business perspective, the MSME perspective. We have spent some time preparing for this day because we recognize if Jamaica is really going to benefit from cruise shipping and from a new cruise ship port, then we have to ensure that our small businesses are trained and are providing services and products that those who will come to our shores want to access. So you will see a whole host of our MSMEs here. We did a program with the Port Royal Creative Group, and they're here with their products on sale. This is huge for our country. Again, you have to have unique products so that when they stop at the port of Port Royal, it is different than when they stop at Negril or when they stop in the Dominican Republic. So we are really going to look at the business options, the opportunities, train the people and help them set up those businesses.
One of those local small businesses is Bee Sweet Honey, represented by Ryan and Anna Smith.
So what we're trying to do is to create a product, especially target for the tourist industry, that leaves the tourist away from the made in China and brings them to the made in Jamaica. So we're trying to incorporate elements of Jamaican lifestyle. Wicker is premium Jamaican craft, and the packaging just suggests Jamaica. The hoodie, Jamaica. As a matter of fact, our slogan, made by Jamaican bees with Jamaican trees in sweet Jamaican breeze.
Small businesses in Jamaica, we're up and we're on the rise.
And the Port Royal residents would not be left out. They also got the chance to ply their wares and interact with the visitors. But several residents told us they are desperately in need of better housing.
Well, I have business so far. They give me 2 stalls, one in the port, one over 4 jars. But yeah, because this is our culture. People want coolant water to drink and other farm products such as mangoes and orange, you name it.
What them did to the town is a complete makeover them gave. Then the tourists come this morning. They interact with everybody. Upstairs at the bar, them socialize with everybody. It's like everybody is one here.
I hear some persons complaining that, the benefits now go trickle down to the local level.
No, man, it trickle right down because it's local people here, local people down the bar there, and them the tourists walk even without tour guide. They're everywhere. No tour guide with them, and them interact. They mingle with everybody. So if you're off and what your wares, what you're selling, I think it will sell.
What else would you like to see in terms of development for your town?
Well, we need houses. Badly we need houses.
Professor Shirley says economic development for the area was one of the primary goals of the initiative.
And the first thing we were asked by the government to develop a port and port facilities to create economic benefits while collaborating with the other government agencies. And we have been collaborating with the UDC, who is developing a master plan, and a number of other government agencies have been involved. Our objective was, once we decided on Port Royal, to ensure that we enhance this very unique historical location with its important archaeological and environmental assets. And we wanted to do this first and foremost for Jamaicans and for visitors. And thirdly, we wanted to create a gateway to Kingston. Kingston is undoubtedly the cultural center of the Caribbean.
He says they had to make assessments to answer the question, why Port Royal?
And most people who go on cruise tours now will check on all the destinations they are going to. It's rational for them to do it. When they check on Kingston, they see a lot of stories which suggest that Kingston, in spite of the fact that we have the lowest crime against tourists probably in the world, certainly in the region, the impression is that it's a violent place, that it's a place that's unsafe. Whereas if you search under Port Royal, it's one of the most peaceful locations anywhere in Jamaica. And so that was one thing. The second, I said two, maybe three. The second one is that Port Royal has a cachet all of its own, developed in part by us, but much more so by Disney and all these others who have made Pirates of the Caribbean and Port Royal an important part of that. All the plans that existed before called for a terminal to be built at an area called Chocolate Hole, which you will see today. It's an area which is very close to the sunken city. And the sunken city is the most treasured asset that we have. We have a town, a half of the town, which is sunken just off the old Naval Hospital. And the cruise ports that were to be built would have come in very close to that. It would have meant having to damage some of the sunken city in the construction of a terminal. We decided that we could not do that.
It remains among the most significant historic archaeological sites in Jamaica. Professor Shirley says they decided to construct the terminal at the old coal wharf, which was once used by the Navy as a port for over 30 years. He says the construction is environmentally friendly. Several technological innovations were explored, and they found one often used in environmentally sensitive areas, the seawalk.
The seawalk is like a jet bridge at the airport. When you go to most airports today, your aircraft comes into the area where it is to be berthed. It stops, shuts down, and a jet bridge unfolds to the door, and you come off on it. The seawalk works in exactly the same way. This berth will unfold and go out to meet the berth. It will be tied off, and the passengers will come off from it.
We've also delivered unique technology for this part of the world. This is the first seawalk in the Western Hemisphere.
Professor Shirley says the development has no negative impact on the natural marine environment. He says as part of the development, there are plans to upgrade Fort Charles. This includes repurposing buildings, taking them back to what they looked like during the high days of Port Royal. The treasured Giddy House is to be transformed, giving visitors a glimpse of what it looked like in the past versus now. And a promenade is to be built from the town.
Visitors can take advantage of an array of services and local offerings.
Wonderful. We're coming back.
but when we'll stay in a hotel, I think. We want to spend more time. I think this, well, it's only every day in a way, so it's given us a taste, but it's worth coming back. So we will, but we'll stay a week or 2 weeks next time. We took a taxi into Kingston Centre itself. We enjoy the high street, very lively, very lively.
Everybody saying hello, and yeah, very
safe as well. People, I think, talk too much about the bad publicity. We should talk more about the positive side. We felt very safe. We were in Little Park. There were men there, and we felt very safe.
We're all tired now. We've been on the beach eating and drinking, so we had a great time. Went to see Bob Marley. He gave us a song. He's a nice guy. He's a nice guy.
Port Royal is now open for business. It will have a tremendous impact because it's creating opportunity for our artisans, for our performers, and it will impact on the ordinary man too.
Well, it means a lot because our vision is really to transform Kingston into a destination city, and this would be a major start for us. We have been speaking about it for a long time. When we took office in December 2016, it was in our inaugural speech. We believe that positioning Kingston as a tourist destination would do a lot in terms of the transformation of Kingston, in terms of providing job opportunities, and generating employment and fostering business opportunities.
Reporting for Taking Stock, I'm Stevian Simmons.
And when we come back, I have your market recap, and the analysts are standing by. This segment of Taking Stock was brought to you by Bulwark Insurance Agency. Insurance made easy. Time now for your market recap. 93 stocks traded across both the main and junior markets of the JSE for the week ending Friday, January 24, 2020. 26 advanced, 55 declined, and 12 traded firm. 150 million shares changed hands on the Jamaican dollar market, totaling over $1.1 billion. Wigton Wind Farm traded the most, with nearly 50 million shares crossing the floor, taking up 33% of market volume. The stock gained 1 cent to close at 97 cents. Sagicor Select Fund Financial traded the second highest, with 34 million shares trading. The stock lost 4 cents to start the week at $1.06. And 11 million shares traded for Sagicor Select Fund Manufacturing and Distribution, which lost 2 cents, opening the week at 95 cents. Turning to the top advancers now, Victoria Mutual saw the biggest gain. Its share price jumped 24% to start the week at $13.18. JMMB Group 5.75% FR US dollar CR preference shares rebounded from the previous week's 15% loss and is back up 22% this week to open Monday at $2.10 US. And Kingston Wharves rose nearly 18% to start the week at $65.82. On to the losing side now. ISP Finance Services was the biggest loser, down 25% to close at $22.10. Pulse Investments was the second biggest loser, down nearly 15% to close at $5.81. And Cygnus Credit Investments US dollar ordinary shares also lost ground last week, down 13% to close at 16 cents US. This segment of Taking Stock, The Analysts, is brought to you by Proven Wealth, Jamaica Money Market Brokers, and Ideal Portfolio Services. Welcome back to Taking Stock. The analysts are here to examine the week in business. Joining me now is Oric Angus. He is Senior Wealth Advisor at Ideal Portfolio Services. We also have Alana Lawrence. She's Senior Capital Markets Analyst at JMMB. Welcome to Taking Stock.
Thank you.
Welcome back, and welcome for the first time, Alana.
Thank you, Kalilah.
All right, let's start with Oric, our regular. What stood out on the market for you this week?
The Jamaica Stock Exchange Regional and Capital Market Conference was this week, and I think the theme really stood out to me. The theme was the winds of change, capital, innovation, and technology. And I said this because based on all of the sophisticated features that are coming to the stock exchange, I think it's a good way to drive capital through the market. So for example, they'll be introducing short selling soon. Later down, investors will have the service of trading options and margins on their portfolio. But what really grabbed me at the conference was a presentation tokenization through the blockchain technology with cryptocurrencies. With that, you find that it's a good way to unlock capital within the markets. So for example, people who have shares in private companies that are not listed and they would like to dispose of those shares, through tokenization, they can actually convert those shares into digital currency and then into cash. So I think that's a good way to unlock capital versus waiting for a company to go public before you can sell your shares. So those things really stood out to me, and I think those are very innovative and revolutionary methods of improving our stock exchange.
Interesting. You think we're there though? We're ready for that type of change?
I don't think we're ready for that type of change yet, but it will come over time as Jamaicans become more educated with these services and offerings.
Yeah, it was a really enlightening conference. I attended one of the days myself. I know you were there as well, Alana. What stood out for you? Could be from the conference or something else on the market last week.
What I found interesting in the stock market last week, and I will extend it even to a month, is the announcements of various companies looking to list on the stock market or do equity transactions on the stock market. So for example, in recent time, we see where Proven has announced that they're looking to do an APO to raise funds to fund some acquisitions, and TransJamaican Highway is in the air. We're anticipating that IPO, so there is a lot of marketing going into that. And recently, Alliance Financial Services announced that they're looking to do an IPO around about the same time as Trans, which is around February.
Oh, that's when that's coming, because I heard that announcement came at the same conference. JMB is the lead broker on that, right?
JMB is the lead broker, and we're looking to launch the transaction around about February. So I am happy to know that there is still interest by business owners in terms of looking to the stock market to raise capital, and that investors seem to be open and excited about these announcements coming their way.
Tell me about the timing of that Alliance IPO, right around TransJamaica, and they want, what, $10-11 billion?
I told her that it was a very brave move.
It's very brave indeed. How much are you able to say how much you'll be looking to raise?
I can't say right now, but it's nowhere near that 10-12 billion TransJamaica is looking, but we believe that Alliance is a good sell. We believe that it's a strong company. So even though we know that there's this big offering in the market at this time, we believe the value to be gained from investing in that company will essentially sell itself.
Very brave move to compete with TransJamaica.
I know. The thinking though is that there's money out there and investors are looking for opportunity. There's supposed to be a liquidity event in February, not that significant, about $2 billion, I think. JDOS is coming in the market. $2 billion relative to the amount that Trans is looking to raise is minuscule. But we believe that the money is out there and people are looking for opportunities. And you can see that when you look at previous IPOs, previous offerings, and you compare the amount being raised versus the amount invested or offered by shareholders. So JMB did its IPO recently. We were looking to raise the APO, sorry. Recently, we were looking to raise $10 billion with an option to upsize, and we got offers in excess of $19 billion. So there's no doubt that the money is out there. So as long as the value proposition is convincing, we're convinced that people will participate.
Okay. Oric, in the insurance space, there are some developments. GK has made an offer to buy 100% of Key Insurance, but the price is what's interesting.
Yes.
$2, I think $2.01, which is below what it currently trades at. What do you make of that whole move?
I think it's very good, and a company of GK's caliber is going to do more transactions of that nature to get more widespread. Obviously, it's the intention of building out the GK Financial Group. The price that it's being offered at, I think it's a fair price. The market haven't adjusted to that yet, and I'm not sure it will, and I don't think it will, because the 15% amount or acquisition that they did last year in December, they're trying to up that to 80% because they want the company to remain listed on the junior exchange. Now, the difference between that 50 and 80 is like 65%, right? And when I look at the shareholders who hold that 65%, it's the principal directors of the company. So I'm not sure if the public will have much say in that. So it's really
But it's listed, so you have members of the public who own this company, own shares.
But majority of those shares are owned by the directors.
I
so
see.
If you accumulate that amount, it amounts to that same 65% that GK is offering to purchase.
I see.
Right.
So you think they're going to accept that offer?
I think they want to. I think they will. But I'm really not sure. I hope they do.
What are your thoughts on it, Alana?
The price of $2.01, I believe that this is an offer that shareholders will accept because looking at the company as is now, in recent times they've been having some financial difficulties. In 2018, they were in breach of one of the FSC regulatory capital requirements. So since then, they've been taking steps to try to rectify that. They have managed to improve on that during the course of 2019, but the company is still recording a loss. If you actually look at the company's statement, if you look at the book value relative to the offer price, it is actually below the offer price of $2.01. So as an investor, the question I would ask
So the current trading price is way above
the book value. So probably investors are of the view that the company will improve over time, and the directors of the company have actually issued documentation with a plan indicated how they plan to recover going forward. But if it is that they need capital injection, and GK is there to provide that capital injection. So as an investor, I would see this move by GK as very beneficial and something I would want to welcome. So from that perspective, I would want to participate and also taking into consideration the current financial position of the company.
Well, how does this impact GK as a company? Because we know they just launched Canopy Insurance along with the Musson Group. How does this impact GK as a company and the insurance, the competitiveness of the insurance space, Oric?
It will have some downward effect on the company's financials over time, but I think
which company's financials?
On GK's, but with Key Insurance, they've been in the business a long time. They have a lot of reach in that space, so I think it's a good acquisition for GK to move in and try and turn that around. So yeah, that's my opinion.
For the industry, what would be the impact?
Well, it's essentially consolidation of insurance companies. One of the things that insurance companies have highlighted is that the space has become very much more competitive. So by reducing the number of people competing in the space, that kind of gives them a bit more breathing room. I view it as a positive move. It's beneficial for Key because they have that capital support. GK is already in the space, so they can benefit from economies of scale, etc. And the industry as a whole, I mean, it's reducing the number of players in the space. So I think that's a positive for them.
Jamaican Teas shareholders have approved a stock split. Why do companies do stock splits, Oric?
They do it to make the stock more liquid, to free up trading activities, and to make it look more attractive in terms of the pricing. So that's why they're doing it. They've done it 2 times before and it worked. In terms of the movement, the increase in trading activities, so I do believe that this one will play out the same.
What impact will that have on the company, Alana?
So, as Eric said, the whole point behind doing the stock split is increasing trading activity. So you do see increased trading activity with a stock split. It probably is more psychological than anything because the price is lower, so investors are probably a bit more open to buying it, and those who would have benefit from the stock split in their head, they have more stock so they can sell it. So it increases the tradability of the stock, and for investors it drives the price up and they get some capital appreciation.
And already we see improvement on the share price just on the announcement that they were considering a stock split. Okay, so recently I did a presentation for JMMB at Elevate about the top 10 business stories of 2019 that will likely impact 2020. And my number one, I did this to be a little bit controversial, but my number one was the oil find in Guyana. And I was saying that I think that a lot of Jamaican companies, or at least those that are ambitious, are going to start looking to Guyana for opportunities. There are opportunities there. We see where First Rock is looking to invest in properties in Guyana. They said that in their prospectus. What are your thoughts on the oil find in Guyana and the impact, Oric?
Obviously, it's a big find for them, and it will boost economic growth, which is expected to be at around 86% next year.
You can't just say that right, so Guyana is expected to grow. Their economy is expected to grow by 86%. We're trying to get 5 and 4. We're trying to get 5% growth. We're struggling to get 1%. Guyana's economy is expected to grow 86% in 2020 as a result of oil. Continue making your point.
Right, so I think it is good for them, and it's very interesting to see how it will play out in terms of how it will be managed, what expertise they'll use, where they'll look for these expertise. Obviously, they'll have to seek it outside of the region. Trinidad would have experience with managing with oil and gas, but still they'll need more expert advice based on the magnitude of their findings. Because to my knowledge, it's around $6 billion barrel worth of oil. That's a lot. That's a lot, you know, to deal
even more than Trinidad.
For a small Guyana with a small population of just under 800,000.
Right. What are your thoughts on it?
So I can imagine that it's exciting times in Guyana as to how us in Jamaica can benefit from the economic growth in Guyana as a result of the...
I saw an editorial in the Gleaner on Friday talking about how Jamaican companies don't seem all that excited about this oil find in Guyana.
I actually think they are, because you hear business owners looking at opportunities there and coming to us by virtue of being in the capital market space. I know that they're coming to us to raise capital in order to be able to fund businesses in Guyana. So the oil find, as Orin indicated, will result in economic growth. So Jamaicans are looking to that as a way to expand their operations and grow. So from a Jamaican standpoint, the capital market space, it will allow investors in Jamaica to participate in companies looking to invest in Guyana.
But Oric, isn't it risky to invest in Guyana with their well-known corruption issues and governance issues? Will we really see that level of growth?
That's a big question, because we're thinking on how we can benefit, and they themselves are wondering how will the citizens benefit from that. So it's very far-fetched for us. Obviously, there will be long-term opportunities in terms of all benefits, maybe, and not just Jamaica, but countries that are within the CARICOM group. So maybe it's a case where we definitely will have access to cheaper energy costs, employment opportunities for Jamaicans in terms of foreign exchange opportunities coming from those employment, from skilled laborers, engineers, and stuff from Jamaica.
Do you see a downside, Alana?
So I'm with you in terms of concerns about political instability. We know that they're going into an election shortly. And as to where the pendulum would swing, it's still to be seen. So from that perspective, that political instability can negatively impact this great treasure that Guyana has. So that is a risk there. There are other...
As we see other major oil-producing countries where their citizens aren't much better off.
So
Guyana already has oil, they already have diamonds, they already have the wealth of natural resources, and they're still
mismanagement.
Depressed.
Right. But in recent times, you see where Brazil and Venezuela, even though these are oil-rich countries, they've been adversely impacted.
Right.
One of the main reasons that they have faltered, let me use that word, is because of the change in the oil prices. So Guyana is coming in at a time when oil prices are already low. So in terms of that having an adverse effect on them, we don't see that happening. Also, there was an article on the internet where the finance minister was saying that investment bankers were knocking on his door.
The finance minister of Guyana?
Of Guyana was saying that investment bankers were knocking on his door, trying to entice him to products they were looking to offer using the oil revenue, the royalties to be gained by Guyana for some funding structure. But he indicated to the investment bankers that he has no interest in that at this time because he has seen what has happened in countries like Venezuela. So I think the experience of those companies or countries, they have learned from them, it appears. And it seems as if they will be applying that in the way they go about doing their business.
Very interesting times ahead. I want to go to taking stock to Guyana. What do you think? What do you think, viewers? We should do it, right? Later this year. We're going to try to make that happen. Thanks for joining us, Oric and Alana. We'll have more after this break. Taking Stock, the Analysts was brought to you by Proven Wealth, Jamaica Money Market Brokers, and Ideal Portfolio Services. And that's our show for this week. Make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel and check out my other features, Money Mondays JA, Money Moves JA, and What's in It for Me. You can follow me at Kalilah Ray on Instagram and Twitter as well. Thanks for watching. On Money Mondays JA this week, you would have heard us talking in the analyst segment about Jamaican Teas' upcoming stock split. I'm going to explain what is a stock split. Why do companies do it? How is it beneficial to you, the shareholders? I'm Kalilah Reynolds. See you next week.